Middlekauff.
Hey, babes.
Welcome to Thanksgiving week on the podcast, on the show. I guess we already last pod was Thanksgiving week.
No, it's all week, guy. It's all week. We just keep eating.
All right. We're here to eat.
I take that approach like 365, but
the key, I love a good Thanksgiving plate. Everyone, this is the same time of year. Every sports radio talk show does like stuffing or mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes, or is cranberry a real topping? I don't care what you have. The key is just that you want a plate with like 8 things on it. I want it all. I want bread and 8 different things all in one bite. That's my key.
Well, the social media people with the volume, are really into all that bullshit. To like get out, like probably gonna have everyone's take, their hottest Thanksgiving take. Which I was like, okay, but I have one. Like my take was pretty simple. Like pumpkin pie sucks. And I'm not the biggest pie guy. This is
my take. It's like 90% of Earth. Like everyone has that take. That's what I'm saying. Like all the takes are the fucking.
But I don't know how would the pumpkin pies have lasted so long if everyone hated it.
A lot of people like it. A lot of people hate it. What do I care?
What's your take on it? You think it's?
That's my take. Is I don't care about takes for Thanksgiving. That's my point.
No, but I'm talking specifically on pumpkin pie. Like, do you think pumpkin pie is any good?
No, but I mean, if it's the only dessert at a dinner, I'll probably eat it. That's where I fall on it. Like I don't like it. I wouldn't ask for it. I wouldn't choose it. But if it's there, I guess I do have a take, John. Maybe I lied. I guess I do have a pumpkin pie take.
Yeah, I just can't eat it. Like I think it's that terrible. Like you see Matt Junod went on a rant today about macaroni and cheese. He thought like, what's the hype on macaroni and cheese? Like it's just noodles and cheese. and I do agree with him from the sense of like macaroni and cheese is not a Thanksgiving plate. Like it's just not.
I mean, to me, noodles and butter is good. So noodles and cheese is noodles and butter on steroids.
Yeah, he's wrong about just like macaroni and cheese in a vacuum. Like that's just a good dish. If it's good, like I will eat macaroni and cheese. Where he is right though is like to me it's out of place on a Thanksgiving meal. Circle.
Is it though? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think there's some basics, right? Turkey, mashed potatoes.
But I've like Alyssa's big on like she wants to get rid of turkey and do prime rib. What am I going to complain about that?
Well, we transition.
Some people do ham.
Christmas. I went and got to the honey baked ham store today, lying around the fucking corner.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty long.
Well, you know what, John? That's a great way to segue to this. Not everybody has these arguments. Not everybody has a meal. And right now, we want to all together, you and me and everybody listening or watching this, maybe we can do something good together. So what we did, launched it on Sunday, a fundraising campaign with No Kid Hungry. And we would love for you to, find a way to join in on that the holiday campaign. It's going to go through the end of the year. Whatever you can give at nokidhungry.org/ham. nokidhungry.org/ham.
Watch this on YouTube. It's in the link. If you're listening on the podcast, it's in the podcast description. I got it in my Instagram bio. Do you have an Instagram bio?
I do. Yep, I did.
Yeah, so we got it in our Instagram bios. Our Instagram bios are just our names. Pretty easy to figure out. nokidhungry.org/ham. Our show with Tito's and Puesto already in for $17,000. So we're just going to keep chugging along.
$17,000 are already in the pot.
Yeah, the Ham podcast is in for
$10,000 we put in.
$10,000. Hard-earned money.
Yep.
So because we want kids to eat. And, this is a time when, you'll be with your family if you're listening to this on Thursday. Wherever you are, breaking bread with whoever. Not everyone's that lucky, so just do what you can. nokidhungry.org/ham.
Tito's put in $5,000. We thank them. Puesto put in $2,000. We thank them. Some of you have already donated. We thank you. 1 in 6 kids in America is at risk of not knowing where the next meal's coming from, right? $1 can pay for up to 10 meals. So that means $50 is 500 meals. And, all the donations are tax deductible. These go specifically to the No Kid Hungry Foundation in the state of California, where they've handed out over $12.5 million of grants in the last year and a half. So please share it with other people. Tell people about it. When people are talking of their Thanksgiving table, like, what are you watching? How about Dexter, New Blood? And you're like, how about this podcast that I watch called Haberman and Middlekauff? You're like, yeah, what about that? And like, oh, you know what? Let's all get on our phones and go to nokidhungry.org/ham. There you go.
Do it.
That conversation's coming at the Thanksgiving table. What are you guys watching these days?
It's Dexter New Blood is just it's a little. I mean, it's just Dexter jumped the shark years ago.
I'm 2 episodes in because that's all you can watch, and I'm back, John. I gotta tell you, I'm back. I'm
back. I'm in. I just want to hang out with Dexter, but you have to agree it's lost a little luster. But I'm back. I'm with you.
For me. It's been so long since I watched it on an illegal stream, and now a lot changed in the world. I'm watching it on a legitimate stream. But I stopped watching the show. I didn't get to the very end.
I didn't finish it either. I'm with you.
Zach on the stream says, "Be donating soon, guys. Love the pod." We appreciate that, Zach. We also got. We're going to debut at the end of the show today our new segment.
Shave it or save it.
Shave it or save it. We don't quite know. You and I were debating how is this going to play like on the audio version of the podcast where you send us pictures of your balding head and we tell you whether you should save it or shave it or shave it or save it.
We need to get this sponsored by some, Supercuts. I was like thinking in my head, like, what are the name of like the subways of haircuts? I don't even know. I haven't been in a decade.
We had the was it Roman? Did we have Get Roman?
Yeah, but that's not a haircutting deal.
No, but it's a hair.
That's true.
Keeps. Maybe we had Keeps. All right.
I think we did. Yeah.
They're not paying me today, so I can't remember.
Yeah, no free ads, guys.
No freebies. But this is sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka, John. Take your Tito's to your Thanksgiving dinner. Tito's Handmade Vodka, #1 vodka in America.
Yep. Make sure you bust this out. Thanksgiving table. Pass it around. Top everyone off before you break bread, break turkey, break prime rib, mashed potatoes. Some green beans. I'd go light on the salad on Thursday. Pumpkin pie, whatever you want. Tito's, little post-dinner cocktail. I can't recommend it enough. #1 vodka in America. Yeah, it is. And Tito's, look, Tito's is involved in this charity fundraiser. It's a big part of who Tito's the person is and Tito's the company is, and it's why we're very thankful to have them sponsoring this podcast and this show. And it's been a great year with them, and it's rolling on. And part of the reason it's great is because you share photos with us, and we share them with them. If you have it in your Tito's, however you're having it. So thanks for doing that. It is the best. However you want to do it. Again, the old John Daly can't fail. No, it really can't. It really can't.
Podcast also brought to you by MyBookie.ag, promo code Hammond, the #1. MyBookie.ag, promo code Hammond, the #1, where we have hit 10 locks in a row. 10 locks in a row.
And a $2,000 parlay.
And a 4-team parlay. So we each put $150 in, $300 into how much?
$5,000. I think
it's like
4,977 or something.
Yeah. So I'm feeling good about it. Somebody did just send a tweet to us that somebody on Reddit has nailed 10 Raiders picks in a row simply by flipping a coin. So, maybe we're not that special. But a lot of pressure this week. We will do another podcast that will come out Friday, and that one we'll lock it in. Do you want to debate any of it right now?
I just looking at this Bears line. Did you see the story earlier today about Nagy going to his son's football game? Yeah,
people were chanting at him at his kid's game. What were they chanting? What were they saying?
Fire Nagy.
Fire Nagy.
Yeah.
And his kid's not the coach of the high school team? It wasn't related
his kids, I would guess, was the quarterback.
Oh.
Bench
Nagy. Like, damn.
Now, yeah, it's just, God, I guess they were doing it at the Bulls game. It feels, you got reports that he's going to get fired after this game. It's coming. Snowball of hate. Meanies.
Yeah, they are being meanies. It's now is it anyway, we could get off track. But so what are we thinking about? We're thinking about a couple of things. I guess we should say this because it'll come out Friday. You're thinking about Washington State -1 against Washington. I've got to tell you, I kind of like it, but I don't love it. It just feels a little too obvious. I don't know. They're the better football team without question, but they are on the road against a good passing defense. I like we both like BYU -7 against SC. I really like.
I'm not trying to get overly aggressive, but when times are good, you put the pedal to the metal. It is a holiday weekend. You want to go 2 $500 bets, maybe one on Saturday, one on Sunday?
To me, that's totally dependent on And I think when we always joke about like gambling show or, people who it's like they're obligated to do a bet. It's like, do we like something that much? That would be my take. Do we like something that much?
Like, I do love the Wazoo game, but you're
Why?
talking 2 interim coaches. Because the University of Washington is probably like a bottom fucking 10 team right now in the country. They're a joke. They stink, guy.
Having
Now,
watched
you've watched more snaps than me. Whenever I look up at the scores, who'd they just play? Didn't they just play on Saturday night against Colorado or somebody? And they lost.
Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, they played at Colorado.
And who won?
Colorado won.
What was the score?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
they showed some fight, but they played 2 quarterbacks. It was a mess. I think they might play 2 quarterbacks. They might play their number 1 guy, Sam Heward, this week. They are. I haven't checked this week, but they're the number 1 passing defense in the league against a team that likes to pass. Now, Washington State can throw the ball. To me, there's just something weird about it. That would be my take. Something, because if you asked me what is the line on that game, I would have said Washington State like 7.5. So I'm a little thrown, honestly, that line is as small as it is.
You're right. I mean, they
might
did
be
lose
a reason.
20-17. Lost. Yeah, okay.
They play in nothing but close games, which would be a reason to take Washington State. I mean, Washington State's the better team.
The game you brought up's better, and which I think would kind of be our philosophy of the type game that we would bet on, right? Would be the BYU Cougars against USC, which USC is probably even worse than Washington right now, given that they're just in shambles. Their best player shattered ankle, and BYU's pretty good. Like, I don't see why BYU wouldn't, I don't know, blow them out.
Yeah, that line's 7.
I think, couldn't they win by 30? Wouldn't BYU and UCLA, if they played each other, BYU would probably be favored? Would be my guess, right?
Wait, if BYU and who played each other?
UCLA just killed USC.
Oh, UCLA.
Right? So if I went neutral field BYU, UCLA, just a guess
That'd
off
be
the top
close.
of my head feels like BYU -2 or 3 or something.
Yeah, could be. I mean, UCLA might go 9-4 with a Pac-12 schedule. BYU also has a Pac-12 schedule, so
Yeah, BYU's 9-2.
yeah, they're good.
They just won. I mean, they've had 2 patsies since the Virginia game.
Oh, John, I guess the CFP rankings are going on right now, and Cincinnati's ranked number 4. G on the stream just told us.
Do you think that's not going to matter when they get lapped here soon?
I think they might stay in. Depends on what happens. Oklahoma State could pass them.
Yeah. Notre Dame will too.
Nah, they beat Notre Dame head-to-head at Notre Dame.
But it just feels like ESPN and the powers
But
of
who's
evil
Notre
pressure.
Dame? Nah, I'd have a hard. I don't think that would happen. Because Notre Dame, who's Notre Dame playing?
No,
USC?
I know. I'm not,
Stanford.
I
They're playing
don't
Stanford
care.
this week.
I'm cool
No,
with
no, I
seeing
know you don't.
Cincinnati in. It just feels like, television ratings rule the roost. If that even statement works. I'm just hoping people use roost. I don't even know what that means.
Any other? We'll talk more about this on the next spot. We got stuff to get to today.
My favorite NFL game, though, is just off the top, was Steelers +4.5 on the road at the Bengals. That, to me, is a Tomlin special. Coming off a loss.
My favorite NFL game is the Vikings +3 against the Niners.
Yeah,
Not that I think they're going to win, but we're not going to do that because that's no fun for us. Chargers -2.5 against Denver. Rams +1 at Green Bay. How about that?
I would kind of like Green Bay in that spot.
You do?
But again, see, like, to me, that's a little 2 really good teams. Like, that's kind of what we've avoided.
Yeah.
And really got rolling. Like, I would like to now my Steelers +4.5 against. That's just a lot of points. That was my mindset. And Tomlin, divisional game, another game, but it's like I can't trust the Eagles -3.5 against the Giants.
Giants just downright terrible. Why isn't that number bigger?
I mean, fire Jason Garrett, Freddie Kitchens, now their OC.
He's back. Football team -1 at home against the Seahawks. Against young Fitzmagic, Taylor Heineke.
Don't hate that.
Feels like the Seahawks are just toast. So, all right, we'll make that pick for Wednesday, unless you feel like you got to get the Steeler game in right now.
No, just because the other thing is Turkey Day, COVID tests.
So.
Like, let's just I'd say we wait till Saturday to make our NFL bet.
Okay, but we'll have to.
The NFL putting extra restrictions because people are gathering with fans. Like, I don't know. I can't risk.
Gotcha.
Now, Roethlisberger, as he said, he's now on 90-day scholarship for testing.
All right, John. Kyle versus Cousins. Kyle versus Kirk Cousins. And you and I have paid a lot of close attention to the Vikings. I think we've liked the Vikings over the course of this year quite a bit. We think the Vikings are pretty scary. And this game is obviously a big game. Both teams, this is playoff path stuff. This is big, big, big stuff right here. And it's really important to both teams. The Vikings just beat the Packers in a pretty wild game. Pretty impressive to win the type of game they just won. So let's just start with that. It's Kyle versus Cousins. And I think if the Niners weren't in such a must-win situation, maybe Kyle versus Cousins would be a bigger story than what is the real story, which is they just got to find a way to win this football game.
I think so. And I mean, really, they've played 3 really good games in a row. They lost that overtime game to the Baltimore Ravens 3 weeks ago. They pounded the Chargers, and then they were handling the Packers. I thought just watching that game on Game Pass the other day, they kicked the shit out of them. The only difference was Aaron Rodgers just plays for the Packers, and he was just making some miraculous plays in Devontae Adams. Like, those two guys were just – it was like an NBA. Like, we're good enough, just us two guys, just to keep our team in this game. But the Vikings as a whole, I mean, Cousins has thrown 7 touchdowns the last 3 games. And you just watch him, like, he's made some incredible plays with his receivers. And I know the Niners have got a lot of momentum back, but, like, I think the Vikings, if they could trade coaches with Kyle Shanahan, they would in a heartbeat, right? Zimmer was a guy they want to fire. You know, if he misses the playoffs, he's going to get fired.
Right.
Obviously, Kyle Shanahan is not, but, I do think, the irony of this whole thing is that Kyle's always loved this guy, and now he's really playing the best football these last couple of years of his life. Like, it's kind of, in a weird way, like, Kyle's validated. This guy's coming now in a huge game since that playoff game when they kicked their ass. Think how good he's been since that playoff game, guy, last year and then the first half of this year. He really has been pretty good. I mean, I don't know, we'd have to really dive into the numbers, but definitely like a top 12 quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, when you put up 40-ish touchdowns, which is what he had, what do you have, 38 last year, 37 last year.
How many does he have this year? Probably 20?
35 last year. He's at 21 this year. He was 35 and 13 last year. I'm with you. And I think we talked about this a while ago, several weeks ago. Justin Jefferson is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Thielen's dangerous. Dalvin Cook's fantastic. But there's just something off with them. And I started thinking about them in the same context as the Niners. Like, are there times when I've watched the Niners and thought they're better than this record? Or they're DVOA, they're 7th, right? They're statistically in some categories, they're better than this record. But I also know that they made some mistakes when it came to relying on players who were not reliable. And I do think their record right now is maybe they could be a game better. But for the most part, to quote Bill Parcells, who was on Monday Night Football, was
pretty
it Bill?
Good on Monday
You
Night
are
Football.
what your record says you are?
Yeah, it's his quote.
Now, why do we have these two country club playing quarterbacks and this
Bill,
old geezer?
Bill, haven't you made like $200 million coaching football?
So good. But like the Niners record is about what they are. They can be better and they've looked better. And I think the Vikings, I've looked at them largely like they're better than their record, which is right now 5-5. Wasn't that long ago they were 3-5 too before they beat the Chargers and the Packers, right? But I also think this about Minnesota. I think there's something fundamentally off about them that will prevent them from ever having really big success. And I think that thing is that their quarterback and their coach are on their most basic levels in their DNA different with their approaches to the game. I think Kirk, for all the big plays he makes, and you're right, he is top half, sometimes top 12, sometimes top 8 quarterback, depending on how he's playing, with the talent around him. Fundamentally wants to play it safe. After the game where he had this incredible shootout performance against Aaron Rodgers, who also had a great shootout performance and improved his stats to 21 touchdowns and 2 picks, he said he wished he could have had some of those throws back. Now, the one that should have been picked, okay. But the ball to Thielen where the DB got turned around, Thielen caught it. There was a sense after the game that he didn't feel totally comfortable with how aggressive he was. When they asked Mike Zimmer about it, Zimmer was like, no, that's what we want more of. And I think there's a fundamental disconnect between Zimmer and between Kirk Cousins. Of course, look at Mike. Watch Mike. He's an aggressive defensive guy.
Double A gap blitz is his scheme.
That's him. And I don't know that I haven't really thought about this part of it until just now. How many great teams feel like their quarterback and their coach are disconnected? Because I just don't think they are stylistically a match. And they're kind
Harbaugh,
of this,
Lamar, McDermott, Josh, Bill, Mac,
Mahomes,
Andy,
Andy.
Mahomes, forever, Peyton and Drew Brees.
That's where Tom's unique. Feels like him and Bruce matched, but also him and Bill matched. But and
Great
it feels
teammate.
like yeah, but I think that's a fundamental problem with them. And so, can they light you up? Yes. Can they beat you? Yes. Could they beat the Niners this week? Hell yes. But I also think there could be something that happens this week as a response to the performance last week, which is either Kirk continues to be that aggressive and he's not comfortable doing it. And if he's going to continue to be that aggressive, he's not going to be able to maintain not throwing picks. So there's either a bunch of picks coming or he goes back to what he's more comfortable doing, which is being less aggressive, which would play into the Niners' hands a little bit. So I'm not sure which it is, but I think something's got to give at some point. And maybe it's not this week because he's got Thielen and he's got Cook and he's got Jefferson and he can just keep playing that game. It might work, right? Like his coach might be right about it. Bro, just keep doing it. And so what if you throw 6 picks in 3 weeks? Who cares? Like you're going to score more touchdowns. This is the way we got to play because our defense isn't stopping anybody. But I just feels like there's something a little off there and he could kill you, but he could also throw 2 balls to you this week.
You know what's funny is I was told a couple years ago by an assistant coach in the NFL, he's like, obviously Zimmer's wife passed away several years ago. Like 4 or 5, a long time ago. And he said that he's dating now. And the way he dates, because I saw someone mention in the chat, I actually got a text message today from a friend that says, like, have you seen Zimmer's girlfriend? And I don't know I think we've talked about this before, but he was on dating apps like in Minnesota, like on Tinder. You would see like Mike Zimmer. And, he's in his 60s, he's not even a midlife crisis. His wife is gone. Like, you can do whatever you want. But, Cousins is a very religious, I think fundamentally they just don't have that much in common, beside football probably. And I do think that kind of matters, just philosophically look at life the same way. And like when you think Mahomes and you think Andy Reid, you're like, God, that fits, right? Yeah, that just works. And Bill and Tom, like their philosophical matches were football meant the world to them. They would take a bullet for football. Like football was God family football. It was like football. We're there for 1, 2, 3s.
Right.
And it's where, Kyle's been trying to find his. And really, he's a little conservative, right? I mean, ideally, he wouldn't want to throw it that much. Cousins would have been a perfect match. But I just think if Kyle Shanahan, teams are much different. The Vikings were pretty good, remember? Like when the Niners beat them. Like they were a good team. Their defense was even better then. Their offense just replaced Diggs and Justin Jefferson, which is clearly an upgrade, but Diggs is a good player. Like that team was good. The Niners team was infinitely better. I mean, the pass rush, I remember being at that game. It was a joke. Like they couldn't, and their offensive line's not great either. But I was in the car today, and I turned on London Papa, and Joey Bosa's dad was on the phone. And actually, I was thinking, like, we should get him on the phone. Like, it was a good interview. And it's just like, well, I mean, I say Joey Bosa's, Nick Bosa's.
You're correct. He's Joey Bosa's dad.
Well, like, they're not going to be able to block Nick, but can all the other Niners just wreck Kirk Cousins all game long? Part of the reason they owned Jared Goff was they were always getting pressure. Like, Bosa gets a lot of pressure, but do the other guys consistently get pressure? That's the thing. Like, I have no worry that 97 is going to get after his ass, but that's, 60 snaps, that might be 7 times, right?
Yeah.
Do all the other guys, that would leave me a little pause where, going back on that playoff game, I just don't know if it's going to look the same, which means it's going to be much harder. Like if we were unbiased gamblers here, I think Minnesota +3 you'd feel pretty good about.
I would feel good about it. I think, that Minnesota game in the playoffs is interesting because what didn't have to happen in that game? The Niners didn't have to throw the football.
Well, after the first, remember Jimmy did, and he threw a pick to Kendricks.
Right. But which it doesn't fit the narrative that I was about to build. Overly simple that I mentioned on the last pod. Jimmy throws picks, they win. Jimmy doesn't throw picks. Jimmy throws picks, they lose. Jimmy doesn't throw picks, they win. That's the pattern this year. Again, overly simple.
I think Cousins threw a couple. He definitely threw one to Richard in that game.
I just think there will be some interceptable balls out there if Kirk is playing the way his coach wants him to play. If he's not playing the way his coach wants him to play, then that's okay too, because you feel like the matchup Thielen Jefferson against your guys is favor Vikings.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think Kirk can play that game every week. I don't think he'll end the season with 5 interceptions if he keeps playing that way. So, but the flip side of that is your quarterback walks the same fine line that theirs does. In fact, Kirk is much better throwing the ball down the field than Jimmy is.
Yeah. He's a better player, Jimmy.
He is a better player.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I think he is. So,
yeah, we're not talking Grand Canyon like Mahomes to, Daniel Jones or something, but
Right.
Kirk Cousins a better player.
player.
If teams could choose, teams would take Kirk Cousins over Jimmy Garoppolo,
Yeah.
including the Niners.
And to me, if those were your two options, you'd go, all right, I've got a cap on what I can be.
You're not feeling great. No.
So that's the concern for me. It's yes, I know they can score. The question is, what do the Niners have to do to try and score? My prediction, John, Shanahan takes a deep shot on the first play of the game this week.
Well, their greatest disadvantage, like the disadvantage for the Vikings from being a good team, is their secondary stinks. And if you're Rodgers look like if you were just throwing some highlights together, like, yeah, this is a top 5 quarterback of all time, you would just take like 5 or 6 just plays from that game. Like, you're just like kind of rolling out. Whoop! It was like, oh my God. Him and Devontae were fucking playing games. I mean, it was just, this is a joke.
Yeah.
But can Jimmy, we'll get into the 2 receivers he's got, but he can't really, that's not really his thing. Like, I'm just going to gunsling today for 320. No, we've been winning with you going about 140.
That's right. And so the counter to well, if Kyle takes a deep shot on the first play, does he run on second down? And if that only gets 3 yards, now is he 3rd and 7? And now have you gotten away from what you've done the last 2 weeks, which is have 18 and 20 play drives to open the game? Because you do look at the Vikings and you think, let's have less possessions, right? That's what you think looking at them play offense.
But you want to dive into their offense?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though, Guy, is these last couple weeks, the identity of the Rams, ever since Gurley's knee just, I don't know, stopped working, was changed forever. And they draft Akers, and he gets hurt, so they weren't able to be a running team. The Jags have no identity. This team, while I think when you just say the Minnesota Vikings, most people would be like, oh, they're scoring a bunch of points throwing the ball. They do have, I said this the other day and I was wrong. I said the 3 best running backs were Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and Chubb, depending on the week and some order. Dalvin Cook's right there too. Like, he's in that group. The last 3 weeks, he's averaging basically 100 yards a game on the ground. And he can catch too. But I'm just saying, like, he can just be like, okay, well, let's just control the clock too. Right? We'll fucking run down your throat. And it's not like the Niners, when you watch them, and I think their stats are probably a little better than the eye test of, like, they can give up some 5-yard runs with pretty ease. Like, you can, if you want to just stick to the run, if you got a blue chipper, thank God they're going to miss Derrick Henry. Like, you could probably have some 10-play drives on them.
Right.
I mean, Bosa's his weakness. He's not Khalil Mack against the run. Like, you can run it at him. It's not like a no fly zone. Like, you can run plays at him in the running game. So it's just, before we even get to their wide receivers, which they got a trio, but their trio, like the Niners trios, are Kittle blocks, but he's not a running back, are all pass catchers. They have 2 wide receivers and the back. And the back is, you can say whatever you want about paying running backs. They paid him, and he clearly is worth, like, no different than Derrick Henry. He's a worthy offensive weapon to make, $12 to $15 million a year. Like, you don't feel bad if he's one of your offensive weapons making 13, 14 million, right?
No. And I think the thing about those 3, their 3 versus the Niners 3, if we said it's Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk, is that what you would say the 3 are? Irony is the run game is such a big part of it, but right now they don't have a Dalvin Cook. Is that the Niners kind of, if they're a little more redundant. It's, if you were to say, like, give me some triplets, you would pick a running back like Dalvin. Is it fair to I don't want to call Thielen a possession receiver because he's more than that.
But there's nothing wrong. Like, I mean, I would say Keenan Allen's like the best version of a possession receiver. Like, he's doing most of his work within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage.
And then Jefferson. Like, that is, they each really complement each other. Now, Ayuk and Debo and Kittle also complement each other in part because Shanahan makes it so. But, I do think the group, it's a little different. Theirs complement each other in a probably a more traditional sense I don't know if you said I promise you the next 3 years, you're getting 17 games out of all that whole group. Like you're getting healthy Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle, or healthy Jefferson, Thielen, and Dalvin. Ayuk right now is 6th in production among those 6, right?
One thing I will say about Thielen, and like if you just got him out running around, he would look the worst of the group, right? He's the slowest of the group.
All I know is DraftKings for the last 2 years. It's just
I just pulled it up. Yeah, since Cousins have been there, one thing about I think sometimes possession wide receivers, like does he dominate in the red zone? This guy dominates in the red zone. Cousins first year 9, 19, 6. But the last 2 years, 14 last year, he has 8 touchdowns this year. So the last 2 years, he's got 22 touchdowns in 25 games. Like Thielen is a producer. Like scores point. It's hard to watch red zone all day and not see him come up at minimum a couple times, right?
Yeah.
And he's the second best wide receiver on their own team. That's where Kittle, for a while, it's like the Niners had some red zone issues in the passing game. Like he should play a big role in the red zone, right? He can box guys out. He can high point balls. Like he needs to be a guy, in theory, that gets them 10 touchdowns a year. Because a lot of Debo and definitely Ayuk's more than likely are going to come, they can score in explosive plays. Like if you're at the 5-yard line, throw the ball to George, right? That's what I would just like. They're going to throw the ball to Thielen. A lot of Jefferson's touchdowns, at least that I've seen, I mean, he can score from 50, 30, 20, 50, 100, right? He can score all over the field. Thielen does a lot of his work like within probably in, the baby zone.
But he does hit big
scoring.
And maybe this is a function of the quarterback because Kirk just goes over the top a lot. And he goes over the top to Thielen too, right? How many throws from like the 35-yard line you see Thielen catching it over his shoulder in the end zone? It feels like it happens a lot.
He's averaging, which isn't, it seems like a lot, like looking at it, but just 10 yards a catch.
Debo does that plus another 9 after, basically.
Debo's 19 yards a catch right now?
No, I don't know. Debo's almost 10 yards after catch. And I think 10 yards a catch. So,
for example, Jefferson's 15-9, 15 the last 2 years. So that 5 extra yards is a big deal.
Yeah, I think what's different about him right now is the Niners just don't. It's hard to know. Like, could you have a more vertical passing game with a different quarterback with that group of Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle? Yeah, John, he is. He's 18 yards a catch right now, Debo. But Debo is almost 10 yards after the catch right now.
Yeah, he's catching.
So he's 10 yards a catch, and then he's another 9 yards after that. That's fucking nuts.
But you get credit for the whole thing.
I'm just saying, like that's insane to have an 18-yard per catch player who you don't have to throw the ball 18 yards down the field to get 18 yards.
Well, the Niners once upon a time had a guy that ran slants to the house. You know what his name was?
No, who? Oh, Jerry Rice. Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge, when you can take slants to the house, then you can have the double moves, the sluggos, the slant and goes. Like you can do a lot of stuff with that. Devontae against Minnesota last week when they were kind of down. The number one thing, and what I think with Devontae is like he's going to run a quick out, a slant, and then he's going to break a tackle and get yards. So once he's rolling in middle of the game, they'll do the double moves, and Devontae's like, how is 17 wide open? It's because he puts this guy in like a blender, and the guy falls, and he just catches the ball like that.
Yeah.
So that's where I think if they're going to take deep shots, they might need to pull a couple double moves with their wide receivers because they do run a shitload of slants, right?
Who's going to take deep shots?
The Niners. It feels like Minnesota runs go routes. The Niners run slants.
Yeah.
And like deep ins.
I've been advocating for it. I'm
play?
Knowing that
special teams?
Yeah. Philly, John. Knowing that's going to be two quarterbacks. Give me two quarterbacks on the field at the same time, Lance and Garoppolo.
Did you see the Arkansas fake punt?
I did see the Arkansas fake punt. That was a great play.
That's all I'm asking for, guy. Great catch, too, one-hander.
That was a great play.
It would warm my heart if they just try special teams. Preferably up a score because it's like a dagger move.
Yeah, I agree. Knowing that what you just described, though, is part of what concerns me about this game, is knowing that you might have to ask Garoppolo to do those things. And he has been good. And you mentioned it the other day, and you're right. I mean, he's been accurate. That's not even – if you just watch, you go, there's less – that ball has come down. You know how Brady – I was watching Brady Monday night. Brady throws balls that look like they're going to hit the ground, and somehow every guy catches them like at knee high. Like Brady really has a downward angle on some of the balls he throws over the middle of the field.
He's also like 6'6".
He is, well, I mean, he's not 6'6".
He's 6'5", isn't he?
He's tall, but he makes a conscious effort, I think, I think he makes a conscious effort to prevent balls getting tipped up over when he throws over the middle. He really seems to throw the ball low on purpose.
Well, think about like I bet he'd tell you, where do you think most picks happen? Or tips over, throws over the middle of the field. Most of them aren't like high pointing the ball on a go route and I just out jump you. Right?
Patrick says that's to protect the receiver. Yeah, and that great.
Well, Jimmy has been a double whammy. He got his guys killed and throws picks at the same time.
Those throws are one and the same.
But Cousins will do that as well.
Yes,
ball will just go over the middle.
And that was my point
on him.
That was my point in the first discussion. Is just Cousins is due, and it doesn't mean it's going to happen this week. I just think they walk a fine line with him when he's as aggressive as he was last week.
I'd agree.
But I mean, is Jefferson? We already said he's a top 5 receiver, so I don't. It's dangerous. But you know what? Stephon Diggs was great when they played him. He was in that same category.
Well, I think that season he had like 14 touchdowns. It's like he was producing. Their receivers have really produced with Cousins. Really produced. On ways the Niners would die for.
Matthew says, Brady has 5 interceptions, 5 off his receiver's hands. I watch every Bucs play. Well.
I think it happened last night.
Did it?
Yeah. Daniel Jones had about 3 of them.
That game was so bad.
It was a rough watch.
Like, I guess the question is, how many points does it take to win this game? Because they've scored 34, 27. They scored 31 in a loss to the Ravens. Their Cowboys game was weird, 20-16.
Like if you tell me they score 30, I don't think it's a lock win. They should win.
How many points do you have to? If I tell you they scored 26, is that a lock Niners win? No.
If
I tell you the Vikings score,
I'd say 49ers 35. I'd feel good about it.
If I tell you, this is a classic Niners the last 3 years. If I tell you the Vikings score 13 points, how many do the Niners have?
I mean, more than like that would feel kind of a little blowout-y, maybe 30-13
That's right.
or something.
Because the Niners don't play that game 14-13. They play that game 42-13.
Now, if you tell me the Vikings have 45, I'll tell you the Niners have like 7. Now, if you tell me it's in the 30s, I could see a shootout. But once it gets to the
45 does not feel like a. Well, but
like they would run out of juice.
38 is where you start wondering.
Steelers Chargers just were to shootout. I think 41-37 was that the final score.
34-31 was the Packer Viking game.
Yeah, a lot of points.
G says who wins the time. Patrick says who wins the time of possession.
I think this one's going to be a lot closer than the previous games.
This is gonna
because if I was the Vikings, I would try to take that away from you. I try to keep you off the field. So Jimmy, your margin for error is smaller.
Well, the Niners' third down conversion rate 2 weeks ago was off the charts. They had some breaks.
My guess is the Vikings, if they win the coin toss, take the ball and try to just go on a methodical drive. Just
they don't want to give.
Even if it's a field goal, just take 6-7 minutes. Just control the clock.
Well,
like,
it's a double.
Do this.
I like that idea. It's a double whammy, right? Because we see how Kyle operates at the end of the first half, especially if the other team's getting the ball. Now, I defended it,
Gatorades,
but I think Kyle believes it's a double whammy to get the ball first in the second half. So his opponent should also think so. Most people do. It's not crazy. But a lot of offensive coaches think of it that way. Like try to score at the end of the half, try and score again at the beginning of the half, right? That's not crazy. But
Kyle
I'm with you.
Kyle just wants to get a halftime.
Well, I think he thinks of it like that depending on what happens on first down. Right?
That is
run it, try and break a 12-yarder. Okay, now we'll go. Otherwise,
that's the move of not trusting your quarterback.
Absolutely. This is to me, nothing speaks louder. Actually, trading 2-1s, 3-1s for a quarterback speaks louder than this about what you think of your quarterback. But what Kyle does at the end of halves tells us everything we need to know.
See, but you fall under the sword of that he cannot, like, I bet he knows how to, like, it's not bad clock management. I don't think it's a lock that he knows how to manage the clock because most coaches don't. Like he
Oh,
he goes
yeah.
halftime all the time with a bunch of timeouts. Like it's just
Yeah, see, I don't, but yeah, I know people, there are a lot of people that agree with you on that. I think he knows what he's doing at the end of the half, and I think he wants no part of, and it worked, by the way, for a field goal.
time will tell once he gets a quarterback that he trusts, because most coaches screw it up. Most coaches are bad at clock management. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but most of them are just bad at it.
I think his fundamental is not. I think the main issue with him is not that he's bad at it; it's that he has no trust in Jimmy to get the ball down the field when he. It's like in the fourth quarter, I have no choice.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to do was go into halftime with that shit on my head and then come out and they've got the ball first.
Yeah, I think he's terrified for Jimmy to throw a pick at like 20-yard line.
And I am too. That's what that is my primary concern about this game is not that Justin Jefferson has 3 touchdowns. It's that Garoppolo throws interceptions.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So we do have a Thursday DraftKings game, by the way, in the hopper this week. So that one, at last check, as of the live show on Tuesday, has 82 spots. So 18 spots left for the live. For the Thursday, it's 3 games Thursday. What should I make another Saturday game right now?
I'm good with just doing that.
All right, we'll do the Thanksgiving Thursday with ham and ham on Thanksgiving Thursday. I said Saturday, I meant Sunday. But in any event, DraftKings, promo code ham.
Yep. Download the sports book and let me pull up the read here. Yeah, playing daily fantasy is simple. Just pick your lineup as we do. You get $50,000. Download the app. Play DFS with us. We do it every week. Free shot at $1 million in total prizes. You can play in other games. Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code HAM to play free $1 million this Thanksgiving weekend. That's right. Enter promo code HAM to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings, the official daily partner of the National Football League. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
All right, and go to DraftKings, get in the Haberman and Middlekauff League. We've got a league. Once you're in it and you're a friend of it or you join it, then you get the invites when new games go out. Good luck to everybody this week. 100 people getting in. Top 10 people will win. Podcast also brought to you by Manscaped.com. Promo code HAM. Manscaped.com. Promo code HAM.
Yep, Lawnmower 4.0. We got it's the greatest ball trimmer I've ever used. LED light, waterproof, little USB charger. Also has the weed whacker. It trims the nose hairs. You just stick that thing up. At first, I was a little nervous, and you don't feel anything. Trims those nose hairs.
I need to use it bad.
I saw a picture. Someone Instagrammed a picture of Gruden, Bob Mahenry, the Instagram guy, that he was at a bar. It looked like in L.A. or Vegas, and Gruden was out there drinking, and they took like a selfie together. Gruden had long nose hairs. He needs to get the weed whacker.
Hasn't been in the office in a while.
Yeah, he needs to get that weed whacker bad.
Manscaped.com, promo code HAM. You got the skin safe technology. You got the wireless charging. You got the waterproof. You got the light. You got the powerful performance, 7,000 RPM motor, and you got the deal. What else do you want?
No. 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com, promo code HAM, manscaped.com, promo code HAM. Get on it.
John, so a couple people in the chat now have said, where did this one go? Here we go. Can't believe the Chiefs Broncos on Sunday Night Football over Herbert Burrow. But that's bearing the first part of it, which is the Niners got taken off primetime Sunday, as Anthony said. So pissed they got taken off primetime. And replaced by Chiefs Broncos. This is, as much as I love a primetime game, a break for the Niners since this game is in Seattle, and then they go to Cincinnati the next week. So it just gives them a few more hours. So I actually think this works out fine for the Niners.
Well, and podcasters, we get to go live at like 4:30 instead of 8 o'clock till about 10:30 at night. So I'm not totally complaining.
I hadn't thought of that.
Little surprised. Did you see the Rams Niners highest rated Week 10 game in 7 years or 8 since 2012? Now, here's the thing. CBS gets to take the Niner game. The Niner game doesn't go back to Fox, so it's kind of like a one-off switch. So they get Niners versus Russ. They didn't really care. They gladly would take that. But I also think, did you see the Chiefs-Cowboy game? You text me today that the Utah-Oregon game did 5 million people. And relative to sports, there won't be an NBA game all season does 5 million people. I mean, college football is the second biggest sport in America. Like, that is an enormous amount of people. Like, you get 5 million people to watch your event. Like, that's a lot. You know what Cowboys Chiefs did on Sunday afternoon?
Twice that?
28.9
million?
Yeah, it was like the highest.
That's an NFC championship game.
I mean, it's just stupid.
Is that not a comp? That's like Wild Card Weekend doesn't get that many viewers.
It's a lot of people. I think that was a lot of people, like pre-streaming and all these options. Like, that is an astronomical amount of people. But I was thinking, like, the Cowboys have been an enormous brand for, and Fox, the NFC has been so lucrative to them, right? The NFC East, the Niners, McVay these last several years, Seattle for a decade, you know, the Packers. Like, the NFC's been incredible. But I think the Chiefs and Andy and Mahomes now are just such a major brand. Like, obviously the Cowboys are a big deal. The Chiefs, majority of our life, were not some needle mover on this level now, and I think they are. I think they're like a Steph, a LeBron. Like, that's what on an NFL level. So they're a cash cow, and I just think you ride them right now. Mahomes is just kind of the Steph Curry of football. And as we know, like, you just do way bigger numbers in football. So whenever you can get a hold of Mahomes, when he's relevant, I think you just snag him.
So does that mean Romo? Where's Romo and?
Well, they don't find out probably till the next week.
I guess they could have Burrow. Herbert Bengals is on CBS. Got to be.
Yeah. See that I understand why it's not them. That's a bad rating game. Like, the Bengals aren't a needle mover, and the Chargers don't even have fans in their own city. I would bet Buck and Aikman are Rams Packers. That's at 125.
Where is the Bengal game?
The Bengal game is in Cincinnati.
Okay, so Nance, stay on the West Coast. You know,
no, sorry, I'm looking at that's for this weekend.
Oh, okay.
The Bengal game is in Cincinnati though still. So the 125 games, I would imagine that Romo and Nance will be at Ravens Steelers.
Oh, yeah, I would think.
Especially if the Steelers could win.
Yeah, the only thing, they just do this based on the rating. I do wonder if those guys would want that game. Just because they don't get a Niner. Now, the problem is they're not going to see them in the playoffs anyway, unless I don't remember who's got the Super Bowl this year. So
I'd be a little stunned if they're not doing Ravens Steelers.
Little Super Bowl prep. Go get the Niners. Get ready. Get them before you see them in the Super Bowl.
Especially if the Steelers win. That game will be pretty big.
Yeah. Now that does make sense.
We'll get an Eagle cousin or brother, and whoever he does the game with, Charles Davis. I don't really watch many CBS second crews. I noticed that because I just watch the Romo and Nance game, and then I watch a lot of NFC football.
Isn't Charles on Fox? Did Charles moved to Fox or no?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mute most Raider games because they're not getting Nance or Romo.
TV2.
Yeah, I don't even have volume on that TV.
I didn't realize Clay was wearing a Washington State outfit.
I think he wore that to the press. I think he had like the 77 jersey, so he like double jerseyed at practice, and then he had that on. That's like his under jersey.
Pretty great for the Cougs. What's his return date? As Steph has gone back to what he's always been, which is must-see TV. It just happens now that it's happening in wins, and people are remembering that Steph is the biggest draw in the NBA right now. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And I don't actually even think it's all that close.
It's not.
But this guy, let's not forget, also a massive draw. I do think Clay resonates non-Warrior fan, just basketball fan. And we are nearing, pretty crazy what he's gone through when you really think about an Achilles and a major knee injury is one hell of a back-to-back.
Well, he's going, I don't know if Lacob said this publicly. I was listening to Marcus and Kawakami and those guys that it's just a guarantee. Like his home, it's going to be a home opener. Like he's not going to come back on the road. And even Clay, I was watching some of his press conferences
in Memphis.
It's going to be pretty sweet. It's going to be a hot ticket. Like it's a hot awesome ticket now. They're fucking like 50-2. They just win every game. But it really hit me watching him and just like his joy for playing basketball. And some of the clips today from practice of him just doing drills, like how hard he was playing. the Warriors got so lucky that their core guys are just basketball addicts. It's just like
Draymond stopped drinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, though. And I think Slater had mentioned, like, it wasn't just like a cocktail. I think I was a big drinker, So it's like, if you drink a lot, it can be a problem. But I've really, really enjoyed watching them play. Like, to me, it gets back to my, like, sports fan roots of, like, I fucking love this shit. And the NBA has kind of lost me that way because it doesn't always feel like that with some of the fluff in their sport. Even though this year there's been a lot of fights. Feels like there's a little edgier, just kind of vibe, taking some of the fouls off, and just people are pissed off.
Taking the fouls off
enjoy.
Personally made me far more interested in the league.
Same.
I look. There have been. It would be really hard right now to come up with like a list of your 10 favorite Warriors moments of this era, right? Of the Steph era, because there's so many. But I know what number one is for me, and it's going to be hard for something to ever top this for me, and that's Clay, Game 6, Oklahoma City. They were about to lose. The fact that game was on the road, I think, made it all the more special. And Clay hit 11 3-pointers at a time when it was such a rivalry, right? Like you wanted to beat them so badly. They had Kevin and Russ, and Clay just saved them. And I'll never forget where I was. I'll never forget the feeling of that game. I'll never forget that woman who was like by one of the cameras. You could just hear her yelling the whole game. Like, ah! Ah! I don't remember if you remember that part of it, but
no,
that's my favorite. Like Clay, I love Steph. I'm not saying Clay's better or more famous. I'm not even ranking him, but I think that's the most enjoyment. That is like, I don't know if I can have more enjoyment watching sports than Clay's Game 6 Oklahoma City.
That was sweet. It was pretty legendary. Now, they ended up losing the NBA Finals, but that was a pretty legendary comeback. Because you and I were at the first two games. Remember, they were getting their ass kicked. They should have been down 2-up. Honestly, they should have got swept. They lost the first game. The second game, they were getting worked. And I'll vividly remember they brought back Westbrook into the game. Durant, it felt like, was going to go for 90. And Westbrook just, like, fucked everything up. And they ended up being, like, tied at half. The Warriors pulled that off. They easily could have been swept in that series because they were down 3-1. I also think Klay Thompson scored 37 points in a quarter.
Were you there that day?
No, but I was watching. I think I was supposed to go.
No. Were you at Comcast with me that day?
No. Oh, you were doing the Kings?
I remember Bobby Jackson was there, and he was rooting for Klay. He was like, this is crazy! Like, just...
Have things got any better in Sacramento since that day?
No, but I think they're on the path down. They're figuring it out. Is Alvin Gentry? Is that who took over?
Yeah, I got a pay bump. Yeah.
I saw a photo of him, and I'm like, Alvin can't be wanting to do this. There's no way this is. But it's like, what do? Walk away?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're making $1 million, they offer you $3 million prorated for the rest of the year. You're like, yeah, I'll take it. I'm gonna get fired anyway. They got. I flipped on a little bit last night. They were on NBA TV. They got destroyed. The Sixers didn't have anybody, and they got their ass kicked. It's like your team sucks.
My gosh.
Sad because that arena is cool.
It's great. It's great. All right, so should we do it? Are we ready to try this?
Klay Thompson jersey is like a sign.
What do you mean?
Wazoo.
Oh, Wazoo.
Right. I thought Washington was losing by like 30. They've been losing by like 7 and 5. It's a little closer than I thought. Again, I'm more of a helicopter dad in this situation, or Disneyland.
But
dad
sometimes that's good. Sometimes
it's more closer.
But sometimes it's more right. Less information doesn't mean less right.
I feel like Washington State is just much better.
They are
more talented.
And Washington might play some. I would expect them to play some of Brock Heward's nephew, Damon Heward's son, Slinging Sammy Heward, the true freshman, top pro-style quarterback, because they didn't play him last week, and he can play. It'll be his 4th game of the year. He can still redshirt the year.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if that's good or not.
Well, if he's like the next,
they played him 2 weeks ago. They had him hand the ball off 9 straight times. So I don't know. He came from an air raid. That's not what they run.
I feel like Wazoo's interim coach / their staff is better than Jimmy Lake's crew.
Bob Gregory, who's the interim guy, pretty well respected guy from people I've talked to. But here's the thing. They were good before they had to change their coach.
Washington State, yeah.
Washington State was just good. Washington State was good with. They actually were bad early. They'd figured it out, and then Rolovich had to go.
Yeah, Jimmy got fired for vaccine. Jimmy Lake got fired because they were bad. So
yeah.
If they liked Rolovich, he just would have still been there, and they would have liked him.
If
right?
if COVID-19 had never happened, he'd just be the coach of the team.
Yeah, and they'd like him, right? He'd win 7-8 games a year.
Yeah. So, all right. So you want to do this now? We don't quite know how this is going to work for the podcast, but we're open to your feedback. This is definitely a video thing. We had the idea the other day. Not we had the idea. It was suggested to us, and we're going to try this segment right now that we're calling, thanks to somebody who named it, Shave It or Save It. We're doing a bit, John. This is back to our radio roots.
Well, I think it's perfectly timed. You got a haircut today, right?
Yeah. I got a haircut today. And you got a haircut today. You look clean.
Yesterday.
So this is how it came about. Joe Mazzetta sent us a note. He said, I have an idea. Listeners, followers, send pictures of their hair, and you guys decide if that person should shave it or save it. Actually, I think it was Ray who came up with the name of the segment. So that's what we're going to do. So it involves us, for those of you listening, it involves us showing pictures. So you guys tell us what you think, if this should continue. We've got several of them. You submit them to us, DM us on Instagram, DM us on Twitter, your photos. And so let's just try it out and see how we like this. So the first candidate, John, the first person up for Shave It or Save It, the first candidate for Shave It or Save It is the guy who had the idea. Joe wants some help. So here we go. Here's Joe. Meet Joe. Here's a photo of Joe.
You see what I'm saying about the front? It doesn't give anything away. If you just show me that picture, I'd be like, this guy's got a great head of hair. Full beard. He looks good.
Joe took a shower, had his wife take these photos, so he cleaned his hair. He told it. He DM'd me. We've got portrait mode on for Joe's photos.
This is where the moment of truth comes, though. This is not the defining picture.
No. So first we got the straight on photo. We got to get the medical terms for these. Like, is this this is the anterior and the posterior, and there's a top and like a bottom. So we're going to click through. We got a little top.
What is this guy? This guy's got a full head of hair, guy.
He's got, here's some side. He looks like he's doing pretty good on the sides up here, right? All right. On the temple. Looks good. He's growing it long. Other side, a little thinner on this temple, and you can see some thinning there. If I were to like use my pen, I'd put it through. You see a little thinning there on the top. And this is the backside photo.
Okay.
Yep. This is the Kevin Durant angle from the top. Where, John, we see some balding, in the back. But it's not a cul-de-sac. To me, first reaction, we can talk through it, I think is the same as yours. This is an easy keep right here, a save.
This is a keep, but you have here would be my take. You have very long hair right now. And luckily the texture of your hair, you're able to operate it like that and kind of slick it back over. If you continue to lose it at the spot in the back, the longer it will get uglier. But if you can maintain this for the foreseeable future, that's a sustainable look. Yeah. If you lose, to me, 15% more back, that's where it kind of gets dicey. You agree there?
Yeah, the question is so he's bald in the back. As it comes towards the front, right? If we go to exhibit C here, how much comb over does he have to do to cover up the fact that the balding from the back comes to me, the bald spot in the back, that's fine. I mean, you can live with that. For sure.
But you also I didn't realize he's got a Trump deal going right there.
It's coming a lot from this left side, right? His left, where it's a little thinner here on his left, and it's sweeping.
You know where it would be bad? Like if he was in Hawaii with his wife and just, some buddies, jumps in a pool, and when he gets out and can't maintain it, that's where it gets ugly. But if he's rocking like that to a party, to a business meeting, to a dinner, no one notices. If you can sustain that for the rest of your life, keep that. Now, I know a friend, I'm not going to name him, who did the same move, probably had 30% less hair. The longer it gets, it actually gets worse. So you might, once you lose the ability to go long, you might be able to shorten it because you have hair in the front still.
You got follicles. You're saying it gets worse because it makes it obvious that there's thin trees there. The trees are thin forest.
It's just a rough look.
Yeah.
Your margin for error when it gets really long, pull off a hat, or you can get nailed. Like,
well, you don't want too much scalp showing through the extra long hair. You're right. Then you shorten it, and it's like, hey, yeah, it's shorter, it's thinner, but that's okay. I got something here.
Like he could probably go with like a 3 or 4 short, and it'd probably look pretty good.
Yeah.
With the beard.
Yeah.
He's got options right now.
It just comes down to if he goes short, where's this follicle situation on the top? How much is getting covered there? But I'm with you on a 1 to 10 scale, saying 10, you gotta shave it, and 1 being you're saving it without a question. To me, right now, I'd say this is. I think it's like a 4.
I was even gonna go like 3.5.
Yeah, you know what? It's probably closer to a 3.
Now the one thing is things can exponentially grow with hair problems. So it could go from a 3.5, 4. It can be a 6 within. I'm just eyeballing him. I guess he's a couple years within our age range, right? Somewhere 33 to 38.
Yeah, we got the leg of a child down here in the lower photo. So
what would you guess looking at him? 34, 36, somewhere in there.
Yeah. All right, yeah. He's in our range.
So like from 37 to 40, things can speed up. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yep. It's not. I don't know if his hair. It's wet, so it's hard to tell how thick it is because it lays when it's wet. Once it dries out. But it's got a lot of good color, right? He's got some gray in his beard, but nothing.
It doesn't look like he colors his hair, does he?
No, it's just natural because he's got a little red auburn situation. So,
that's a great looking boot. I just ordered a boot of that color,
of that brown.
Yeah, kind of the brown, but like kind of going toward the red
auburn, maybe.
Auburn,
yeah.
Auburn's a good color.
Yeah, that's a good looking boot then. Yeah, I'd say
give me his front view one more time.
Thanks for putting yourself out there, Joe. There's Joe. Yeah.
I actually think Joe with the beard, he's got a skinny. It will look good bald too one day if that ever comes with it.
That's a great point. That's part of the evaluation here.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Or
strong
even
eyebrows.
Even those first couple years when he just keeps it, like under a 5, like really kind of tight on the side, he'll be fine.
I think that would help.
You're going to be okay, bro.
He's got really not only strong eyebrows, but he's got thick long eyelashes. Women would love your eyelashes, Joe, and that just having some texture on your face probably.
I hope your wife knows she's lucky. She's a lucky woman.
All right, so we actually have a few more submissions that we'll get to on Friday's podcast. But we just want to jumpstart it. That is, shave it or save it. We hope we don't have to ever shave it, but there you go.
Got to do what you got to do.
So we do this with love. Send us your photos, and we're not here to roast you. We're here to help, but everybody's fair game. And so, Joe, thanks for being the brave first soul.
That was a good case.
That was it. Now, Joe we've got a couple more. We got like 2 photos from some other people. Joe sent us a lot there, which was good. Gave us a lot to break down.
I think the ones I sent you were just 2 photos. I think minimum you got to go 3 photos. You got to go from the front, from the side, and then on top.
Yeah, on top / the back. Because top,
I got to be. I got to see the back. Yeah, the back.
If you're doing a sweep, it's tough. It's tough. But that was a good 6-7 photos. All right. So I don't know. For those of you listening to the podcast, let us know. Should that be part of the podcast or should that be a video only thing? I don't know what that's like to listen to exactly. I'll have to go back and
maybe just becomes a video only thing.
It might be a video only thing because you need to see it. Video only, which is now I hear their ads. I don't hear any more Fry's because they closed. But
Fry's.com.
Your Best Buys. Somebody said it needs a jingle. Well, let's call our old radio producer Derek Papa.
He could put us up for one.
Yeah. So what else you got? You good? Thanksgiving's upon us.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go eat. I got some food to take home, but I think I'm gonna eat it tonight. I mean, I have enough that it's gonna. Yeah, no, I'm not opening the ham, but I also got a turkey when I was there. It was honey baked turkey. It's not bad.
NoKidHungry.org/ham. We really appreciate anything you can give. It's linked everywhere. It's in our bios. NoKidHungry.org/ham. We haven't gotten the latest update. 17,000. Let's turn that into $25,000 before December 31st. So it's a busy time, and a lot of people. We know it's not just a busy time. It's you've got holidays, and people are traveling, and you're buying food and gifts, and so everyone's shelling out money this time of year. But if there's some extra that you could contribute to this campaign, we'd really appreciate it. But it's not really about us appreciating. There are people out there that if you can help,
They'd
let's help.
appreciate it for sure.
And we already are. So we appreciate you guys doing whatever you can. Whatever you can.
Thank you. A lot of gratitude toward you guys. Grateful
gratitude.
for you.
Yes. Yes. All right. We're thankful. One of the things we're thankful for, John.
I'm gonna say it at Thanksgiving dinner with my mother.
This platform. Like when she says, John, what are you thankful for? You just talk about the podcast for 3 minutes. And then now to you, Jeff. I will say the Joey Molinaro boyfriend at Thanksgiving dinner video was pretty good.
Yeah, he's been on fire lately. He's been on fire.
All right. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. We will have another podcast.
Sleepy Joe IPA.
Sleepy Joe IPA. Friday is when some people asked, did you guys do the lock of the week? Friday will be the lock of the week. So Evan on the stream said, shave it, get ahead of it. Oh, geez, tough crowd.
It's pessimistic, I bet he's probably a little more negative of a human.
He says, come on, grow that thing out longer. Shave the head. It looks a lot tougher than combing it over.
Always tough guys on the internet.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. Have a great Thanksgiving. Lock of the week coming on Friday's pod. Later.